I just wanted to say that before we really jump into it. I just think it's appropriate. So
No,
Thank you
that's very
so much.
appropriate because everything that you guys have done has definitely given us the energy to keep moving forward and knowing what our worth is and knowing that we have a lot more work to do. But thankfully, for the work that you all have done, we have more strength because of what you have done. So thank you once again.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you, because it works both ways. If it wasn't for the work and the energy and the drive and the courage that you have as younger people, we couldn't keep doing, at least I couldn't keep doing what I'm doing. So you need to know that it works both ways. It honestly does.
Thank you.
that's for sure. Well, thank you again for taking this, break from your busy schedule to jump on live with some very, very, very vocal millennials, if you will, to talk to us about, really update us, right? Really talk a little bit about the history, about you and everything you've done. Also, we want to try and dig into a little bit about the Huey P. Newton Foundation and all the good work you all are doing over there, and really, like, just generally speaking, have a conversation with you about just life. This is not. It's probably going to be one of the more conversational or feeling like home kind of interviews you have. I'll just say it right at the top.
Great.
And
I
so,
like that.
uh, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so Sika,
Absolutely. Double
you want
consciousness
to?
doesn't live over here, basically. That's what he meant to say. That's something that we always we take pride at Black with No Chaser by letting our guests know that when it comes down to sitting down and talking to us, it's just like sitting down at the table. That's why we call it the Black lunch break. So we're breaking bread the same way that we would if we were at home. There's nothing formal about this because there's nothing formal about us. And we
That's
definitely want you to be able to just, enjoy yourself and just freely have conversations with us. So, with that being said, I'll ask you the first question that we always ask every guest. What comes to mind when you hear the words Black with No Chaser?
Hmm. First of all, this is beautiful. I'm glad you laid the groundwork. I'm sitting here at my dining room table. I'm looking out at my garden. I got my
Yeah.
water, so I'm putting my feet up. So I'm at
Yes.
Yes,
home and
indeed.
in my dining room. So yeah, when I think of Black with No Chaser, I love it. First of all, I think
Thank you.
uh, unadulterated. I think caffeinated. I think of real. I think of no dilution. I think of truth and kind of truth in action. So I love that. I love the phrase. I
Mm.
love thinking about it. So yeah, I think that's what I think of when I think of Black with No Chaser.
You definitely hit it on the money. That's definitely what we are. But of course, all the words that you just used, I'm pretty sure you could throw reference to the Black Panther Party as well, because the truth and the revolution that everything that you guys have done, we are so rooted into the same type of values. So you hit
Mhm.
that answer right on the mark, and every
Mm,
answer is different, but we look forward to hearing everyone's different answers. It does
right.
something to our confidence about what we're doing, and we know we've chosen the right name with Black with No Chaser. What you think,
Yeah.
bro?
Come on, man. I've been here since the beginning, so you already know what my thoughts are on this, man. Come on. I nah, but uh uh Fredrika, do you mind me calling you Fredrika, or is
No,
it
please. We at my dining room table.
okay? All right, then we sitting at your dining room
Oh.
table, so we here. All right, awesome. So look, first, I think that, like, I'm a big history person. Just the work that the Black Panther Party did. I have like literally people around me in New Orleans worked, serving lunches and did the good work in New Orleans back in the day. And so it's just like, to me, it's like to have literally a vessel that has literally very, very, very intimate knowledge about the Black Panther Party and all the work that they did. I just gotta ask straight up, right? Is everybody's like, yo, the Black Panther Party is like anti-American, it's this, it's that, whatever, right? And we see that the transition even to now to Black Panther Party, and what it has evolved into is that knowing like what you know, just to kind of clear the air. Like, is the Black Panther Party some anti-American, communistic kind of group that just says, hey, look, like, the hell with everybody else or whatever, or is it more like what is it? I know what it is. I feel like I understand what it is. I just want to clear the air because I think that I read and I hear, and as an activist myself, literally everything that I do that's for human rights, it's always like that's communism or it's this, it's that. And so I just kind of want to lay some foundation really quickly about the essence of the Black Panther Party and really some of the work that you were able to do during your heyday.
My heyday. You know, I love that question. I love how you set it up. The Black Panther Party was rooted in love. The Black Panther Party was rooted in love. We served the people body and soul, was what we used to say. And you can't do that. You can't have a willingness to lay down your life for your people unless that's rooted in deep love for your people. And so that was the foundation of this party. We had over 65 survival programs. And the survival programs were like survival pending revolution. These programs came out of a need of the community. Children need to be fed. They need to have food in their stomachs in order to live. So kids were going to school hungry. So what do? We fed them. People had no clothes. So what do? We clothed them. They had no shoes. We had shoe factories. We created shoes for the people. They had no food in their refrigerators. We'd have food giveaways. Black people were dying of lead poisoning and sickle cell anemia because there was no work being done, no research. We set up our own sickle cell anemia testing places. We created our own clinics. We ushered seniors to cash their checks. We took families to prisons and on. And we had Black Panther Party ambulance program because people were dying because they couldn't get to the hospitals. So where is that rooted in hatred? No, that's rooted in love. And the Black Panther Party worked in coalition with other oppressed groups. You know, people don't know this. When they talk about Black Panther Party with nationalists and we hated white people, the Black Panther Party worked even with the Appalachian poor white people. We worked with the Red Guard. We had an Asian member of our organization. So the Black Panther Party fought against the oppression of all oppressed people. So these are the things that you don't see in the media. What you see are a lot of brothers with guns because that's how the media wanted to portray us. But you don't see those same brothers feeding hungry kids in the morning or those sisters in leadership positions that they were in. And so that's why the Black Panther Party, we had a newspaper that was a weekly paper that was in publication for 13 or 14 years. And in those newspapers is all of the history of the party. And the foundation that I have, that I'm a part of, we're working to get those newspapers digitized and indexed so that you and the millions of yous can read what the history was of that organization. So long answer, no. Black Panther Party was rooted in love. It was straight out love for the people. Young men and women younger than you. I think the average when I came in, it was just turned 19 years old, and I wasn't the youngest. There were brothers and sisters in there, 14 and 15 years old, willing to lay their lives down on the line for the love of their people.
You know, you answering that question actually is the perfect answer to what Black with No Chaser is, because of course mainstream media is definitely going to push those stories that are pushing the false narratives, and that's exactly why we are actually here, to make sure that the correct stories are actually told. Because I can tell you just by me growing up, anytime that I heard anything about the Black Panther, when it came from a news source, it was a negative connotation that was attached to it every single time. It took my parents giving me actual books that I could feel, not only feel in my hands, but feel in my actual soul, to give me the true understanding of what is actually going on. And it's important that we understand that the narrative has not been controlled the way that we needed it to. And because of the Black Panther Party, there was a narrative, and there still is a narrative that has always been controlled. And I just appreciate you making sure that you made mention of what you guys were being presented to, that wasn't the truth. And it wasn't, because y'all have always been rooted in love. That's nothing but the truth.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. And thank God there are
Revolutionary love at that.
revolutionary love at that.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. When I hear 65 programs, none of them are steeped in hate. I hear about revolutionary love that where like, when we interviewed um Brother Hamilton, man, from the Mafta Redemption Project in Chicago, and he talked about this self-determination aspect of it. And really, that's what I hear from you is revolutionary love is self-determination and realizing that the system, if it's not working for you, you have to create your own systems that you can cultivate that's going to lift up your people. Because quite frankly, we don't have any bootstraps. We got to not only make the damn bootstraps, we got to make the boots, we got to ship out the boots, we got to, like everything. And so I got chill bumps when I heard you talking about we had our own ambulance, we had our own real estate agent, we had our own factory, we had like literally everything you possibly need in the community.
Sickle
And when I
cell
hear that,
anemia.
That's
Like,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
like, that's powerful. That's powerful. And I think that, like, to me, it always re-energizes me hearing from like the horse's mouth about what really happened on the ground that
Absolutely.
day. And I just don't think you can tell this story right now, Fredrika, 20,000 times, and it still won't be told enough because there's so many false narratives surrounding
All
or amid the
facts.
Black Panther Party. It's like
Mhm.
even the better narratives are still steeped in like FBI files
Hmm.
being targeted as such. It is not from a place of love. And I think that like,
Um,
but that just goes back to sensationalizing like negativity generally in news and profiteering
Yes.
off of negativity and not centering joy and love, generally speaking, amongst human beings. And I think that like I said, I think that whatever I just love the fact that I was able to hear that from you because I have many questions and we probably won't have time to get through all of them. But anyway, Sika, you go ahead. I know you got questions too. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
did want. I wanted to reference something you said when you mentioned real estate agents because that never comes up, and that's actually how I came. That's how I came to the Black Panther Party because my mother was a real estate agent for the party, and I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know the
See?
work that they were doing, and I was completely apolitical. Coming from an activist family, you know how oftentimes you just rebel against what your parents do. There you go, and I did
Yes.
exactly that.
I was
And
it.
parents and marching before we could walk. And I wanted to go shopping and be in beauty pageants and all this stuff that used to drive my mother crazy. And I came home from college one day. She just thought I was so shallow. And I was. And and I came home and from college and my mother said that Huey Newton is coming for lunch today. And they said, started dropping seeds. I started becoming politicized from my next door neighbors, actually. Tom Hayden was one of the Chicago 7, lived next door to me. And he said, you want to see Huey? He's being released from prison today. And I said, okay. And they gave me a dashiki that they said had belonged to Eldridge Cleaver. And I said, sure. So I went to see Huey. He
Wow.
was released from prison. I went away to college, came back that Christmas for break, and here's Huey in my mother's living room. That's how this whole thing started. So you did not have to be a born revolutionary or an activist to begin to do this work. You know what I mean? I didn't come from there. I came
Yep.
from way
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm. And it's something, it's funny
So
though.
obviously, your
Go ahead, see, I'm
question,
sorry.
your question to him, what was it like in prison? Obviously, that was lock and key, for him, because he was just like, yo. I'm sure that was a bold question that he felt like for you to ask him. So, like, what was that response and that dialogue like?
I actually didn't think it was bold. I thought I was so insecure. There were all, mind you, there were all these intellectuals and academics and heavyweights sitting in that dining room. And I didn't know the language. I didn't know the politics. But I knew feelings. That's usually where I connect. And so I saw this man just sitting there voraciously eating. I thought maybe he was a little nervous. All these people are crowded around him asking him questions. So I just asked, I wanted to know, what did it feel like? How did you do it? What did it feel like to be in solitary confinement I don't even know if I knew he was in solitary all that time. But I said, what did it feel? What was it like in prison? And for him to put his fork down and kind of take all that in and listen and think about it moved me, that he didn't kind of dismiss me as some silly young girl asking a silly, lightweight, non-political, apolitical question. It quite was political. The is political. And the fact that, thought enough to answer, I could see that it touched him some kind of somewhere in some kind of way. And I think that was the connection there. That was the connection to that man. And for me, then became the connection to the movement. So he seemed moved by it.
That's powerful.
I mean, I know that I guess it's funny, like seeing in your position, in your vantage point, having been through civil rights, certain portions, 70s and 80s, and so on and so forth. It's like, do you feel like things are like much different? Has it gotten better? Are we in a better place?
Great question.
And also understanding the climate with the George Floyd trial, or Derek Chauvin trial right now, the killing of George Floyd. Are we in a better place? Do you feel hopeful? In the last piece of that is how has your understanding of revolutionary love or the evolution of your own love changed over time? Or has it changed? Because it's I feel like I get this sense of you being a very intuitive and very internalizing person around the world around you and how you move forward. Is how have you been able to take this all in, and really, if you can give us a snapshot of if anything has changed, what has changed, and bringing it home for us a little bit.
I think technology makes me feel really hopeful. The fact that we have platforms like this that can reach millions, where we had to pick up the phone or we had to write a letter. Those newspapers each week had to be taken on a plane and shipped to New York and all these different, flown there. A brother or sister had to get on the plane, commercial airline, and fly these newspapers back and forth. That's how limited our technology was. I think the fact that, and Huey, what did he say? The spirit of the people is greater than the man's technology. So now you have the spirit of the people coupled with man's technology. It's explosive.
Wow.
What you have, that coupled with your drive and your courage. It's super oppressive today. There's so much that parallels what it did in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s. But what I'm seeing, the energy in young people today, just the people that I'm working around, gives me so much hope. It gives me, I don't feel hopeless at all. I feel invigorated. I tell you, I couldn't do this work if I didn't have the spirit of these young minds around me. I couldn't do it because my contemporaries are tired. It's worn, pretty tired. Yeah. So, and in terms of I'm a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer then, and now I co-founded this foundation with David Hilliard, who was chief of staff of the Black Panther Party, over 26 years ago. I didn't realize it till one of the brothers that I'm working with brought it up.
Are we talking about the Huey P. Newton Foundation?
Yeah, the work that's doing to legacy, to promote this legacy of the party. And there many, many years, I just stayed in the background. I kept the lights on. I kept the programs going. We had tours and conferences. I supported what we had to do. I don't want to minimize the work that I did, but I purposely wasn't out front doing it. And when it came apparent that I was going to have to do that at 60 something years old, when I really could have been kicking back outside, running around with my grandkids, something in me just ignited. And so we talk about revolutionary love, it doesn't die. I think for me, it even grew. Whatever this flame in me, I think even with more desperation, because I know there's not that much life in front of me as there was behind me. So it's done with even a more of a drive because I see my own mortality, whereas a kid, I didn't. I thought I had forever. And now I know that I don't. And there's another investment. I have grandchildren on this planet. So I'm investing in my grandchildren's future too. So at 69 years old, it's done with even more drive in a lot of ways than it was 19 years old. I hope that
Well, you
answers
look
your
amazing at 69. No, you look
Hey,
amazing, by the way.
Oh,
When you say
yes,
black don't crack, I
absolutely
was over there trying to figure
amazing.
out your. I was like, I don't want to guess
Not
the
only that, but
age. At
yes.
least
thank
69.
you. It's y'all. It's what I'm getting from you guys. I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm over here touched because to hear someone of your stature, and especially with just every facet of your connection to the Black Panther Party, to hear you say that the people behind you is giving you the energy, it's on another level, like wow, because y'all inspired us.
You guys don't even know. Don't diminish your power.
Now, Sig,
Don't
you about
diminish your
to now, Sig, you about to get me worked up over here now. Like, come on, get your
no.
I'm good.
So my
Lord, y'all, Lord, today, y'all
it's
about to.
Woo.
All right,
The energy is real.
all right.
don't diminish what the impact that
Now,
you
what
have.
I
You guys don't. And yeah, don't do it. It's what feeds. It's what feeds me, and it's what feeds. I know the other elders like this. We couldn't do it without what the work. It just feeds me.
I think that if
Absolutely.
it's I think that what Sika is probably feeling right now is just like really, and she said earlier about Black with No Chaser, but it really is, I think, an extension of the legacy of the Black Panther Party in so many ways. It's just that
Absolutely.
we've been able to digitize the movement and not to displace or set aside the Black Lives Matter movement and all the amazing organizations that are doing what they're doing on the ground. But to be able to have a name like Black Widow Chaser and be unapologetic about that is it does kind of get overwhelming sometimes emotionally because we work really really hard and nobody's going, hey y'all, here goes his handout. Like
Yeah.
nobody's and in fact a lot of times like we feel like there's so many outside forces hoping that we fail, hoping
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
don't get the funding, hoping
That's
that we don't
correct.
succeed, and
And that we don't continue
it
to
really
push these
just like
stories that need to be told.
So
yeah,
revolutionary.
it's one of those these
Go ahead.
you
I'm
know
sorry.
no but I just want to ask you like about some of the initiatives that the Huey P. Newton Foundation is doing. I think it's important, and I think a last to kind of roadmap it so you can kind of maybe think about it is like your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts about the Judas and the Black Messiah too, though, because I feel like
Oh,
you're the best person
yes.
to kind of hear from
I
about whether or not the accuracy of it is it something. But so before we get into that, we'll table that question for a second. But I think going back to some of the wonderful things that and traditions that the Huey P. Newton Foundation is doing, and if people are around the foundation or in cities in which the foundation exists, how can folks kind of get involved?
Sure. Well, we have a website, the HueyPNewtonFoundation.org, or at Huey P. Newton Foundation on Instagram. And one of the things that we're doing is working with the National Park Service to create a National Historical Park Unit or monument in Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco, and Richmond that will, a national park. The National Park Service is in the business of telling the stories, American stories. And we're working hard to get them to recognize it. They recognize the Black Panther Party and pushing this toward to the Biden administration to propel it forward. We're also currently on October 24th, we'll be placing a bronze bust of Dr. Huey P. Newton. We just recently named the street where he took his last breath to Dr. Huey P. Newton Way. And at that cross section of Mandela Parkway and Dr. Huey P. Newton Way, there's going to be a bronze bust commemorating Dr. Newton.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Dana King, who was a journalist, is now a sculptor, and it's amazing. You can see kind of its progression on the Instagram page. And like I said before, the National Park unit would be actually a museum. In National Park language, they call it a monument, but it's actually, no, they call it a visitor center. So it'd be a museum, the Black Panther Party Museum, right there in Oakland, in the birthplace of the Black Panther Party is where we're hoping. And a historical public art piece right there on the steps where I saw Huey the first time, where the Free Huey movement was, is where we want a national public art commemorative piece to celebrate the legacy of the Black Panther Party and to get those papers digitized so that they're available to you all. So those are some of the things that we're working on in this foundation, and you can definitely support us on our website and in any way that you can. If it's nothing but a shout out and an acknowledgement.
Pass the collection plate.
That too. It takes
Pass it. Tap your neighbor. Tap your neighbor.
You know something, when you talked about revolutionary love, and I it also applies to yourself. This work that you're doing is not easy. And I feel you when you talk about what a struggle it is, and it can be all consuming. So take good care of yourself. I think that the revolutionaries and activists are tenderhearted people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the capacity to love in the way that you do in order to do this kind of work. Tenderhearted people are sensitive people. So take good care of yourself. Take good care of yourselves when you do this work. That's one thing that we didn't do. And I think that's, if I can leave you with that too.
That's a great advice, actually, because that's actually a certain level of advice that we probably have not been able to receive from anyone. Of course, everyone that we're talking to, we want to get the inside stories of any and everything, because our audience deserves to know certain things that we just can't grasp easily. But that is certainly great advice to hear from someone like you, for sure, because we're just working, day in, day out, and we're just covering all of these stories, and we just want to make sure that we're feeding each other, but we do have to make sure that we're feeding ourselves as well.
Definitely. And in terms of Judas, I love the film. I've been working to support the film since it's come out. I love that it did show a beautiful revolutionary love story. It showed it showed a portrait of a slice of Black Panther Party life that's never shown. It showed the role of women in the Black Panther Party. It showed the survival programs that I spoke of early. It talked about love for the people. I thought it was a beautiful film, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to kind of spread the news about it. So yeah, I'm telling everybody that I know to please watch that film.
Now, when it comes down to your personal revolutionary
I want to give you a hug
love,
right now. I wish I could.
I do too.
Oh, we got a hug.
When it comes to your personal revolutionary love, it touched me to be able to see you say, you guys loved hard because you just never knew what tomorrow was going to bring, or if tomorrow was going to ever come. So that in itself is something that I feel like we as a Black community should be practicing every day anyways. I understand the pressure that you guys were under during that time, but that is something that we could definitely use in our everyday life. And I want to ask, because I see that you are now beginning to love again. So like, how is that going, and how is that feeling after everything that you have been going through?
Now you in my business. I'm trying to figure.
Before you answer it, have you heard that? Have y'all seen that thing? When I think it's like a meme or something now, but they be like, "Not like you in my business now. Don't do that. Don't do that. You in my business.
Don't do that. Don't do that."
I'm giving myself permission to love again, and that's for real.
I love that.
I'm giving myself permission to love again because I've been so steeped in the past, and definitely steeped in Huey's in in the life of Huey and trying to promote his legacy and making sure that this legacy doesn't die. That I don't think that I've given myself permission to I guess to love again. So
I
but
tell you what, if you haven't read the book, and maybe you have, but I have. My lady made me read the book because she feels like I'm not the greatest at self love either. I'm always like giving, and never like thinking about myself. But it's really meant for, I think, Black women in particular. But I think generally speaking, anybody can pick up the book and receive something from it. But it's by Bell Hooks, All About Love, and I keep talking
oh,
about this book. But obviously, we know about Bell Hooks, a phenomenal
right.
writer, but All About Love. It talks about self assertiveness and what that really means. She breaks it down, love ethic and having that. And I try to bring more of that to the work, and more just like really just in the community that I live in. And so yeah, if you get a chance to pick it up and read it, maybe one day we'll re-engage, and you can always say, hey, I read the book. I
We
thought it
break
was
down
what
the
I don't
book.
know.
Yeah.
But just to think
I
about,
like
yeah, just think about your journey and of self love and having permission. She talks about that in the book, having permission. Like she like says, you have permission to love yourself, and to hear that and to read that sometimes is very powerful, because then you begin to intrinsically take that in a way, and you go, yes, like I am worthy, I am enough,
Yeah.
and it's okay to love myself and still love others. It's like,
love
so yeah, that's important.
and be loved. Yep.
That's right.
Thank you. I'm gonna call Marcus
And
Books.
be loved. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Let me know. Let us know. Let us know
I
how it
will.
goes.
I definitely will. And thanks for asking that question.
Absolutely. Thanks for answering.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anywho, Seek, how we are on time? Are we good on time? What are we got on time? I know we blocked
I
off
mean,
30
we're
minutes,
only
so
2 minutes over, but that's no big deal. It's whatever she wants to do
one.
at this point.
Well, I I don't know.
She was like, she was like, I'm on y'all time, y'all.
no, you're right.
But I just want to make sure that we're respectful of your time. I know we scheduled 30 minutes, and
Okay.
so but if we want to keep rolling now, I got many questions. But uh
Probably probably wrap it up.
okay. Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think that, like, generally how we wrap things up is just saying that, hey, how can folks get in contact with you? I know we ran through the Huey P. Newton Foundation and how people can donate, but generally speaking, if you have social media or any type of like ways and people can individually get in contact with you, request you for speeches, educate
Oh,
some more folk about, the life of you, Huey P. Newton, and also the Black Panther Party and the Huey P. Newton Foundation, all that good stuff like that. You can let people know at this time.
okay. If you go to our website, I think there's a way you can connect on the website. And I think it's Fredrika at hueypnewton.org would be a way to get in touch with me directly, or go on the website. I think there's a way you can contact, and certainly through Instagram. And I do speaking engagements, and right from the comfort of my own dining room. Actually, it's been beautiful. And one of the kind
I
of
bet.
I don't have to get on a plane, but yeah, please. And there are other members of the foundation that are also available to speak. So absolutely, and just keep doing the work. And thank you so much for having me here. This has been a delightful conversation and really moving for me.
Thank you.
It really has been.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so
thank
Thank you.
you.
much.
Same.
Both of you are
We
beautiful.
appreciate your time.
You're just beautiful.
So are you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Okay, take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
then. Well,
Take care.
take care now.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yo,
Okie
that was
dokie.
amazing.
That was good.
Like my
That
feelings
was
are everywhere right now.
I saw you. I saw it today.
That was a lot.
I'm not good at seeing people cry, so I'm over here like I'm trying to keep it together. We both can't be crying. We got an interview to do, and then Fredrika
Well,
probably started crying.
first of
Um,
all, I mean, I never would have thought in my life that I would have been able to interview Huey P. Newton's wife. Like, wow. You know, I couldn't have. The emotions
Nah,
are
yo,
real.
it's crazy. Now it's weird because like it's like I know we connected to history, but I feel like it's a deeper level of connection to history. I don't know as many people that can say, hey, like we interviewed Fredrika Newton and like who is obviously did her own work within the Black Panther Party, but also carrying a torch and like of Huey P. Newton and his legacy and the family and her grandchildren and the black, and you know what I'm saying? It's a lot to take in, but also just seeing like the level
It
of
is.
compassion and genuine love and authenticity she lives with and embraces and kind of you know is exuding from her own person is it's really it was cool. It was cool to be a part of that. So yeah. And then so anyway, I'm glad I
Yeah,
stuck
you can
around.
tell that
I'm
she's
going back
rooted
to
in love.
the
Yeah.
Unapologetically black. I'm black, capital A, capital F. I love black women. Hennessy, black with no chaser.
What comes to mind is no cut cards. We're not holding back anything as black people, regardless of whatever the struggles, regardless of whatever pain, everything that we pretty much felt in 2020. Black with no chaser represents we not holding nothing back 2021. Everything they said we couldn't get, we coming to get.
Really appreciate y'all. This has been one of the most amazing interviews I've ever done.